Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to 3 News Now. I'm Stephanie Haney, and today is Monday, June 13th. Thank you for being here for the top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. These are the stories that matter most to you here in Northeast Ohio because these are the stories that you are clicking on, reading, and sharing from our website and from our app. And we start with breaking news this afternoon in from the Ohio Department of Health. Dr. Bruce Vanderhoff, who is the director of the Ohio Health Department, said that there is a probable case of monkeypox that has been identified in the state of Ohio and that this is based on preliminary testing. This was found most likely while national test results are pending in an adult male living in the state. Now, Dr. Vanderhoff said monkeypox, very different from COVID-19, wanted to make that point very clear that it doesn't spread easily between people and that the overall risk to Ohioans is very low. He specifically said monkeypox spreads between people primarily through direct contact with infectious sores, scabs, or body fluid. So if you're wondering what the symptoms of monkeypox are in humans, it's very similar to smallpox. It starts with fever, headache, muscle aches, and exhaustion. And then once that fever breaks, a rash can develop and it can begin on the face and then spread to other parts of the body, commonly the palms of the hands and the soles of the feet. And then the rash, which can be very itchy or painful, then changes and goes through different stages before forming a scab at the end, which later falls off, and it could cause scarring. Also, the doctors wanted to note that it usually clears up on its own and lasts between 14 and 21 days, so 2 to 3 weeks, but again, usually does clear up on its own. And from what we are hearing from the Ohio Department of Health, there is a probable case of monkeypox that has been identified here in Ohio. Also today, Governor Mike DeWine had signed the bill which makes it easier for school employees and staff to be armed with firearms. The law, as it has gone into effect, requires up to 24 hours of training before an employee can be armed and up to 8 hours of annual training. That's the letter of the law. Big distinction to make there because a lot of people who did not support this bill, which has now been signed into law, said that it was vague and that the minimum requirements weren't spelled out. Now, here's what we do know. The training programs do have to be approved by the Ohio School Safety Center. And today, Governor DeWine said he is ordering the center to require the maximum 24 hours and the maximum 8 hours. And then DeWine also said that schools can provide additional training if they wish to. Now, reaction to this has come out on both sides. Republicans say that the measure could prevent massacres like the shooting in Texas that we most recently dealt with as a nation that killed 19 elementary school students and 2 teachers. However, Democrats coming out against this in full force. Democratic gubernatorial nominee Nan Whaley, who is hoping to unseat Governor DeWine this November, said this: Governor DeWine has once again ignored calls from Ohioans to do something on gun violence and instead has made our communities less safe. He's continued to show Ohioans that he cares more about the gun lobby that funds his campaigns and the Republican extremists than he does about keeping our children and our communities safe from gun violence. Unfortunately for him, voters will remember his callousness in November and vote him out of office. Also, Ohio Democratic Party Chair Elizabeth Walters said this, quote, "This is not what Ohioans meant when they called on DeWine to do something following the 2019 mass shooting in Dayton. Ohioans were counting on DeWine to grow a spine and stand up to the gun lobby. All he did was cash the gun lobby's campaign checks and do its bidding instead." Now, this being signed into law is also taking place on the same day that permitless carry goes into effect here in Ohio. So it's Senate Bill 215. It's also called constitutional carry, and that goes into effect today. So Ohio now joins 24 other states in doing away with permits required to carry concealed handguns. So under the new law, this part stays the same. You have to be at least 21 years old. You cannot be a convicted felon, and you can't be banned from carrying a firearm for any other reason. But that's it now. Before today, you also had to pass a background check, complete 8 hours of training, and get a permit from your county sheriff before you could carry a hidden firearm on you. So I did some looking at reports about concealed carry permits here in Ohio. Here's what I found. In the last 5 years, there were just over 804,000 either new permits or permit renewals that were issued across across county sheriffs in the state of Ohio. So that gave us, at that point, some idea how many people would be carrying weapons that were concealed. However, with these permits going away, there is just no way of knowing who could be carrying concealed weapons at this point because there's no requirement to register as a gun owner in Ohio. We don't even know how many people own guns in the state of Ohio, and it's actually illegal for local governments to require their own registry. So I'll be going into more depth on this in our 5 o'clock show on What's New, and I'll have a column on WKYC.com, Legally Speaking, to give you more details about this and to tell you what will not be changing in the midst of all of these changes. Now we have an update on the teenager in Akron who was beaten to death not long ago. There are 3 people now arrested in connection with the beating of Ethan Liming. That was confirmed to our 3 News Phil Trexler on Saturday morning. The people arrested have been Deshaun Stafford Jr. and Tyler Stafford. They are brothers. They are 20 and 19 years old respectively. And 21-year-old Donovan Jones, who is their cousin. All arrested. That was at a separate location, and the Akron Police Department assisted in that. So they are now being held on charges of murder and felonious assault, and Jones is also charged with disrupting public service. So to remind you, the terrible, terrible situation this is in connection with. A 17-year-old would have been senior at Firestone Community Center was found dead near basketball courts at the I Promise school. That was on June 2nd. It was around 10:45 a.m. Investigators say what they believe happened is that he showed up with a group of friends, and they were a group of people playing basketball on the courts, that there was a splatter ball gun that was used, which is a toy gun that shoots water beads, gel water beads, and that Ethan was knocked unconscious and brutally assaulted and pronounced dead on the scene when officials were able to get there to help. Now, his father told 3 News earlier this week that his son died because of a toy and just goofing around as a teenager. An absolute tragedy. And those 3 men arrested as suspects in the case, they had their first court appearance today, and they were ordered to have a $1 million bond each, and all of them pleaded not guilty. Now, taking a look at the week ahead, we make a sharp turn here to talk about the weather because it's going to be a very hot week with highs in the 80s today and tomorrow, and then temperatures get into the 90s on Wednesday and Thursday. And by the middle of the week, it will be very hot weather, but cooling down for Father's Day weekend before warm weather returns next week and then beyond that. But first, there are some scattered storms moving in later tonight and into tomorrow morning that our meteorology team is paying close attention to. There are some potential for strong to severe storms, according to the team. So today, there'll be sun and passing clouds with the storms moving in late, and they could be strong. Temperatures in the low 80s. On Tuesday, there are scattered storm chances with temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. And on Wednesday, the heat will be on. It will be hazy, hot, and humid and sunny in the mid 90s. Here's some good medical news. Summit County has dropped to the low level on the CDC's COVID-19 map. This comes with a decrease in COVID-19 cases, hospital bed use, and hospital admissions. So it's all about the case rate per 100,000 residents. And because their case rate dropped below 200, now they are in the low community level spread category. So in the low level, which is represented by green on the map, people say the CDC recommends to stay up to date with vaccinations, to test if you have COVID-19 symptoms, wear a mask if you've been exposed to someone with COVID, stay home if you're sick, and then choose to wear a mask at any time as additional precaution. That is your choice. Now, the following Northeast Ohio counties are at the medium level. That's Ashtabula, Cuyahoga, Geauga, Lake Mahoning, and Trumbull. For the medium level, they say if you are immunocompromised or high risk for severe disease, to talk to your healthcare provider about whether you need to wear a mask and have a plan for rapid testing if you need to do it. Remember, the government has given out those COVID-19 tests, so you can get links to that on WKYC.com if you've not yet taken advantage of that. Also, if you have a household or a social contact with someone who is high risk for severe disease, consider self-testing. And of course, wear a mask. Consider doing that when indoors with them. Stay up to date with COVID vaccines and boosters. Have ventilation through indoor spaces when possible. And then follow CDC recommendations for isolation and quarantine, including getting tested if you are exposed to COVID-19. Now, here's some news if you're looking for a job. The United States Postal Service in Cleveland is offering job application workshops on Thursdays for the entire month of June. It'll be from 4 to 6 p.m. This is at their Cleveland Administrative Building. The address is 2200 Orange Avenue. It's right at the end of East 26th Street downtown, and the starting salary for the position that they're looking to fill, city carrier assistant, is that job. It's $18.92 per hour. So that's every Thursday this month from 4 to 6 p.m. Again, that address is 2200 Orange Avenue, and people will be able to ask questions about the positions and learn about the mission and what the culture is like working for the U.S. Postal Service. One more thing to let you know before we go, and this is great news in my opinion. Cleveland's curbside recycling program starts again today. You do need to opt into this if you are in the city of Cleveland. We have an online form to do that. It's linked at WKYC.com. You can also call. The number to call is 216-664-3030. Mayor Justin Bibb said that they are very proud to be bringing recycling back to Cleveland, that it's a basic city service and they are committed to getting it right, and also that he hopes residents will join in the effort to reduce landfill waste and work toward a greener future. Now, here's the thing. You'll get a little packet if you are enrolled, and you'll get some stickers, and you have to put them on your recycling bin in order for them to know you are enrolled in the program. And we have recycling tips on WKYC.com because you may be surprised at what is recyclable and what is not recyclable. I know I was very surprised to learn that plastic bags are not for recycling. So if you get a plastic bag from your grocery store, for example, not for recycling. Lots of other things, some obvious things: batteries, not for recycling; food and yard waste, not for recycling; anything ceramic, not for recycling. So we have the lists of what is for recycling and some tips that you need to know. That's on WKYC.com. Here's another tip that I didn't know that I'll just share with you, and then I'll let you go be on your way. When you're putting your recycling into the bin, don't put it in a trash bag. Just put it in there, loose items all mixed together. You don't need to put it in a bag. You're actually not supposed to put it in a bag because, what did we just talk about? Plastic bags are not for recycling. So there you go. All right, that's it for your 3 News Now update today for Monday, June 13th. I will see you back here tomorrow with more 3 News Now.